The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. This is Chip.
And this is CJ, coming to you live from the bin.
Wow, and he's got his mic up for today. We're getting better at this.
We are. Hey, you know, when it's a two-man show, it doesn't make it easy.
That's it. Well, we've got some diverse subjects to talk about today. Where should we begin, CJ?
Oh, I don't know. How about the infamous BK debate? Or BK debacle, as I like to call it.
The gunfight at the BK Corral.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. Well, you know, I've already been called a troublemaker around the world, so I figured I might as well become one again. I had a long conversation last night with several state offices, including the Ethics Commission, and I was advised by the Ethics Commission to immediately file a written complaint with the Ethics Commission in regards to city resources, i.e. Fall River Government Television and Fred TV, being used to promote and basically build up a private business, for-profit business. Now, I have, of course, being the professional that I tried to be, contrary to opinion, I turned around and I spoke directly with Rainey Catchman, who runs Fall River Government Television and Fred TV. And so in conversations with Renee, he wasn't even sure that they could do it because the cable system out there that it's tied in with is not the newer system that the rest of the city has, meaning the iNet system may not be there, so they couldn't possibly broadcast it live. But Renee is going to look at that on Monday. But I guess what's happening is they're currently discussing possibly only sending one adult person from Fall River Government Television and just taping the debate and then airing it at a later date. So of course, Spindle City Straight Talk jumped right into the boat and decided that maybe we should give the citizens the debate they want. So we're currently working on a possibility of having a very public debate where citizens get to actually ask the questions. I don't know, Chip, you know, is that kind of original for
Wow,
Fall
you
River?
mean an actual nonpartisan type of debate where the citizens get to ask some questions? Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and we are working on that, and hopefully it will come to fruition. Obviously, we'll have some people there to ask certain questions, but when media asks questions, there's always the suspicion that maybe someone had the questions in advance. And I remember a debate a while ago where the individual was reading off a pre-written answer sheet, so obviously he had the questions. And I think he votes present because he doesn't have his gyp sheet anymore. So we all know who that is, don't we? But I think it's a great idea. I think that you know, obviously the media and people will have particular questions, but I think the public, since we are supposed to be the government, I think the public should be allowed to ask some questions. Make it kind of like the old-fashioned town meetings. Let people get up and let people, you know, ask a question, and let these mayoral candidates respond off the cuff to something that they have no idea, you know, and no preparation for. Let's see what they're made of. I think that's a great idea, and I think we discussed before the show of having it basically on a lottery system. We'll allow people to fill out questions, and we'll put them in some type of receptacle, and then we'll ask people from the audience at random to come up and pick a couple of questions, and then we'll pick someone else, and this way there will be You know, we can watch everybody do it, and there'll be no question that these things are totally random.
Well, and again, we know that the citizens are always asking to be able to ask the questions, and when reporters ask the questions, they think that they're fixed. And as you said, I think one of the big things that this will be, which will be different from any other debate I've seen in Fall River, and I don't know how many years, is that citizens will actually get some input. And what I'm looking to do, and with you, Chip, and Spindle City Straight Talk, is to be sure that we have a couple of media outlets represented. We will ask reporters to come and ask some questions. And then we will turn around and we will put in, as you said, a lottery system, whether it be, the questions written out, and we'll give our viewers and the people of Fall River time to know, and they will be put into a bin or some type of container, and we'll have somebody who's neutral, nobody from our show, none of the reporters, pull out the question, which will be given to the host of the show, and the question will be read out, and each candidate will be given an opportunity to answer. I'm looking, because of the number of candidates, a possibility of 2 hours of debate time. And where the citizens are getting some input, I think this could be the show to end all shows.
Yeah, well, I think it could, because obviously most people who go to a debate have already picked a side. They're going to have supporters of all people, so it's kind of like Russian roulette. I like that. I like the idea, because when you stick your hand in a bin and pull out a question, you don't know if it's a Flanagan supporter that wrote the question, and there's no way to say it's fixed. We asked too many questions that were pro-Flanagan or anti-Flanagan or anti-Dennis or anti-Sutter or anti-Mioza or whatever, or Kadeem. The fact is the people, and it's going to be the luck of the draw. And I think, hey, look, when you're the mayor sitting up there on a 6th floor, and well, at least it should be, you have to be able to adapt and improvise with things that problems arise. Kind of not like what happens up there right now, which segues me into another issue about the lack of transparency. We have 2 issues. We are investigating this, and we will confirm this. We have a very, very reliable source that there are not 1, but 2 people employed in the City Hall who are getting health care and benefits and are paying into the retirement system, who are here from Brazil on a work visa. So my question is, and I believe they're answering phones, so you're going to tell me, with the 2nd highest unemployment rate in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we couldn't find 2 people from Fall River who are citizens and taxpayers of Fall River that could answer phones and get paid and get their health care. You're telling me with our unemployment rate that we couldn't do it. Again, patronage and cronyism at its extreme. If this is true, and don't get me wrong, I have nothing against people coming to the United States legally, and I'll make that proviso, legally, because I have very strong opinions about illegal immigration, and that's for another show. But coming here legally, and they're on a work visa. So you're on a work visa. But the fact is that if we're going to make Fall River an employment agency, if the mayor's going to make it an employment agency, we should at least attempt to employ Fall River people. It's amazing that we have a TIF that doesn't guarantee a job for Fall River, and we can't even guarantee a Fall River right in the government center, which to me is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, I agree with you, Chip, and I guess the people of Fall River are too stupid to pick up a phone and say, Mayor's office, can I help you? So we need to hire somebody from Brazil and go, hey, what you want? I make you go to the mayor. Hold on. And I'm not trying to be, racist. I'm not trying to be anti-immigrant. But I, like you, believe that there can be no excuse, none whatsoever, to go out and hire somebody for these jobs, especially if they weren't posted or if they didn't go out. If this is, again, as we know, another shenanigan where we hire our cronies and keep them employed for whatever services they've performed, I think it's wrong. And I think that the people in Fall River need to know that if you need a job in Fall River, don't try at City Hall because you're not going to get it.
Well, unless you give campaign contributions or something to the mayor. But, as far as your impersonation there, stick with the reporting, CJ. That sounded more like an Italian accent to me than a Brazilian accent. But then again, I may be wrong. We'll let the viewers decide.
Yeah,
but I think that definitely wasn't a Brazilian accent. I won't even attempt it because I'm not that good at Brazilian accents. But then we get into another issue of the city. Again, we have a few issues. We have the rooming house. The rooming house gate, and now we have the landfill gate again. What we have been told, and we are doing research on this one, we have been told that the parcel in the landfill is going to be, they have graciously offered to give the land to Fall River. Give it to them for gratis. And you know the old saying, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and don't look a gift horse in the mouth because it may not be a gift. The fact is that they're giving this land there, which they want to then cover and dump and take construction debris, and it's going to take 2 or 3 years to get it to the capacity where they can cap it. But there's one little problem. I don't believe it went out to bid. BFI is going to do it. I'm sure there are other companies that would love to get dumping fees for 3 years for people to dump construction debris there. And secondly, the city, if they accept this land, is on the hook for up to, everybody ready out there? We always deal in really small numbers in Fall River because we've got so much money. We would be on the hook for up to $3 million.
Sorry about that.
With all the money we got, we can't afford to do anything. But we can take a piece of land that will put us on the hook for $3 million in any kind of hazardous materials cleanup that comes down the road. And you and I both attended as reporters the quote unquote public, but not really public hearing. On the landfill when the DEP came down and everybody came down and they gave us this ridiculous thing that it is contaminated, but it's not really contaminated badly. But we took 9 drillings and we took it here, and the reality is nobody knows what happens 3 years, 4 years down the road. They find severe contaminants with $3 million on the hook again.
Well, and the thing is, Chip, we have testimony that they would not hear because a gentleman who is older, who actually got paid to haul 55-gallon drums from local mills and boat builders and everyone else to that site and dump it there, okay? Now, boat builders used to use toluene, benzene in the production of their boats, okay? Highly toxic carcinogens. The mills around here used to use all kinds of chemicals for dyeing and bleaching and everything else. So picture these 55-gallon drums, which have been sitting underground for years, and they had to pick and choose their areas to do the test bores because if they had ruptured a drum, they would have contaminated everything. And they say, oh no, you can't have groundwater contamination because it's on a ledge. Well, as far as I know, a ledge is rock. Now, when anything liquid, water, it has a way. It makes a way. So I can see one of these 55-gallon drums or 2 or 3 rupture and this contamination sit on this ledge and just slowly move along the ledge until it reaches the edge of the ledge and then into the drinking water supply for many people. Now, the people who are west of that site have to use wells. We don't send water out that way. So their groundwater is going to be contaminated. So now we have to find a way to pump the water to that area. What do you do then? Because we're on the hook for $3 million for the cleanup, okay? And that's today's dollars. We don't know what tomorrow's dollars are going to be. Let's remember that. Fall River's responsible for this if they accept this land. And why are they doing it? Because two companies, the freeholders and Rexcut, don't want the aggravation. And they're afraid that it will affect their businesses, which it will. Because the city's going to grant them an indemnity so that they don't have to pay for it. They're going to indemnify them. So the city's saying, yeah, give us your crap. We'll always take it. Because every gift we get, as you know, is crap. So,
yeah, I mean, this is really, really difficult. You talk about, just absolute, malfeasance when it comes to managing the city. I mean, you're looking at something, and it's the same policy that we've seen from this administration over and over again. It's like, let's just kick the can down the road, and we won't be around. He won't be the mayor. He'll be probably living in Rainham or Taunton or East Providence or Riverside or somewhere, and he won't care about the contaminations. As you said, what happens if it's 7 or 8 years down the line and they find massive contamination and the bill is $60 or $70 million for the cleanup? And you know what they're going to say? Hey, guys, you own it.
that's it.
You own it. You took this land. You took the land. It's yours. You are the sole proprietor of this site. So you are on the hook for this. And guess what? Just like we kick the bonds down the road, it's like just keep bonding and we'll pay. Always put off till tomorrow what you should be doing today.
Well,
that's a perversion of the old adage, but that's what this city does. And it's going to be the same thing with the landfill. Let's not put it out for bids. Let's not get a company that's willing to take responsibility and pay maybe for any abatement that's required while they're on site. And then deal with how we transfer that land at the end. No, let's not do this in a logical, well-managed way with a perspective on public health and on the taxpayer's burden. No, the hell with it. Let's just stick our head in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist, kick it down the road and say, by the time all this stuff comes due, we'll be gone.
Well, it's stupidity at the 10th degree. There's no question about that. And I'm going to tell you now, if we accept this land, I firmly believe that the 9 wisdom seekers in the city council chamber, the city administrator should be lined up against the wall and tar and feathered. Because I'll tell you, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is just absolute stupidity. And it shows very clearly because, again, what's my saying? Follow the money? Well, I'm following the money, and guess what? This is why we're taking this land. Somebody reached into their pockets and forked over a couple of $100 and said, hey, take this crap off my hands, because the Fall River taxpayer only loves crap.
We'll help you for your legal fees. But then again, I'm glad you mentioned the city administrator, because it brings us to another little issue. At a subcommittee meeting of the city council, city administrator Kathy Ann Viveras came down with her own agenda. Now, that's unprecedented. Since when does a city administrator tell a city council subcommittee what they're going to talk about? And the chairman of that committee, Mike Mioza, kind of went, oh, well, okay, let's go. We'll do it. I'm going to go, the city clerk put it on the agenda. She listened to the city administrator, so I'm going to do it. And I know that there was an objection, and I object. Everybody has their role. The city administrator does not tell the city council or any city council subcommittee what the agenda is. She doesn't come down with her own agenda. If she wants to request something to be put on the agenda, she can do that, like anyone can, like any city councilor can. They can say, I propose this go in front of the committee. It's been, you know, as they did with the issue on the prescription drugs for the individual whose mother was affected. By the way, that meeting still hasn't taken place, and that's almost 2 months ago.
Well, that's how I treat our seniors and our veterans.
Because you know, why should we worry about that? It's only an 80-year-old woman who's paying $1,600 for prescription she used to pay $35 for. Oh, the hell with that. That's not a big deal. No, it's a big deal for us to worry about our agenda. And their agenda is all about insider deals and covering up of what's going on in the city. Yet we've got people in City Hall who aren't even citizens, and we've got an unemployment rate. We've got this landfill issue, and now we've got the rooming house debacle.
Oh, my goodness.
The rooming house debacle. Let's get into that one, CJ.
Oh, well, this is just amazing because I attended the meeting, and that meeting was last night, and I listened to the pro people, and it was obviously the gentleman who bought the property, and a person from Swansea. Since when does a non-city resident have the opportunity to address a licensing board, the city council, or any other city board without a waiving of the rules or having a vested interest, i.e. you own the property? And even then, in the city council chamber, we always waive the rules. We don't have these rules. So people from Jamaica Plain, people from Swansea, people from Timbuktu can come in and say, I don't want this or I want this. That's unacceptable. The neighborhood came out in force and said they don't want it. So Attorney Solino, I have a great deal of respect for, and I met with him after the meeting. There was one member of the board, and off the top of my head, I can't remember his name, and to be very honest, it's probably better to be forgotten, kept stating, well, you can't judge this property on the past, and you can't do this, and you can't do that, and, I heard all kinds of messages. You can't hold this gentleman applicable. Now, we got a legal decision from the all high and mighty, oracle on the 6th floor in her lovely pumps, who said that, oh yeah, you have to do this, basically, but you can consider, you may consider, if the owner has had previous experience in managing a rooming house. And Attorney Solino made it very clear that it says may. That doesn't mean they have to, it just means may. Now this property goes back to the 1950s as always being a rooming house. It has always had problems going back to the 1950s. My family remembers it. People testified that they used to send their kids there just to punish them because it was such a bad place. Today we would throw those parents in jail. But what they basically did was they closed the hearing to public comment, but allowed last-minute input via written form to the licensing board until December 3rd, and their decision will be rendered in 30 days, which puts it when? Christmas Day. I wonder why.
Well, they have to bring it in on Christmas Day. Remember the mayor's position. They said Christmas Day, and they better be on the steps of City Hall on Christmas Day, because if not, we're going to court.
Yeah. But I'm sure the decision will be rendered before that date. But we all knew because one of the members of the board slipped and said when we may issue this license, if this person gets this license, we can issue it with technicalities on it. We can issue it with restrictions so that we have to review it in 3 months. And if he's not doing the job right, whatever. This gentleman's going to invest $100,000 and some odd thousand, if not more, into this property to create 17 rooms for quote-unquote veterans. He doesn't say that they're psychiatrically impaired veterans with alcohol and drug problems. There's no common areas, and this property has a history of this where they all collect on the front lawn and deal their drugs and everything else. And also, these type of properties that our rooming houses have historically proven to be a 20 to 35% decrease in property values for the area. So we're going to license someplace that's going to take away the property values of people that have put in hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. So,
Yeah, and the other factor is, I have been told by a very reliable source that our corporation counsel, Liz, made a promise that there would be no other rooming houses and no other permits for rooming houses in that area. And then she's got amnesia. And, you know, I know it's a pretty common illness. It's kind of like the common cold with politicians. Political amnesia it runs rampant among politicians and their minions. They will forget tomorrow what they promised today. And when you call them on it, they'll say, as I've been told, she said, well, I don't remember saying that. Well, you know, the mayor you shall. The rooming house is a done deal. The mayor wants to cut the ribbon and say he's helping, but he's not helping the neighborhood. He's destroying property values. There are other locations where that could be held without the impact on especially that area of the city. That's toward the center of the city. It's historically been an area that's been difficult to get properties rehabilitated, and many people are spending a lot of money in that area. It's coming back to a degree, and now to do this shows again, if you line the right pockets, if you grease the right palms, and if you make a promise, especially before the special election, then maybe the mayor can have another photo op with him planting a tree and cutting a ribbon, because that's what he's going to do between now and December 16th.
well, one of the things which, again, in full disclosure, and again, this is alleged, I have not confirmed it, but the property buyer, has relations in City Hall and in the city employ, that being one of his relations, I believe his sister, works in City Hall, questionably in the mayor's office, and the brother-in-law works for the Department of Community Maintenance as the second in command. So is it any idea why this gentleman would get this license?
And that second in command position was just recently created.
Yes.
For him and another person. Two, and we discussed this on our show, 2 new supervisory positions in a department that's at its lowest manpower, I believe, ever. So, again, more politics, more shadow government, and no transparency again. And the bottom line is, if you want to be in this parade, you got to buy a ticket.
Yeah, well, the tickets are getting few. But, in lead into our closing, because our time is almost out here, I think City Hall is very representative of tomorrow's holiday. It's a building full of turkeys, and not one of them is edible. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Chip, this is getting to be one heck of an election, and it's going to be one heck of a December. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
And just remember, everybody out there, it is you and I that will decide what happens to this city. Because if you don't come out and vote, then the government is theirs. Government is only ours when we vote. That's why government is only the government of the people when the people make it a government of the people.
That's right. If you don't vote, it's your fault. Hey, everybody, have a happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for watching Spindle City Straight Talk. Chip, back to you.
Everybody enjoy the bird, and I will be serving some meals down at the VFW, so the people who on Facebook are coming, we look forward to seeing you.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Don't eat too much bird.